When I hear punk rock songs with that effect in it, it just gets my blood flowing. I mean, there's just something so lively about it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. True Believers was one of 2 singles from the band's 5th studio album, How I Spent My Summer Vacation, released in 2001. I heard this band for the very first time just recently here on the channel with their song Better Days. And a lot of you in the comments said that was an odd first Bouncing Souls song to hear. But I was told it had good bass, and it did. If I'm thinking back to it, it had some unique bass parts and some pretty unpredictable songwriting that stood out. So sometimes it's just those deeper cuts that kind of lure me in. But today we're hearing the band's most popular song, and that's because our Patreon community voted this track into 2nd place last month, and I want to shout out our patron Dan Cronenberg over there for sending this one in. This song also landed on many lists, with Cleveland.com back then ranking it at number 57 on their list of the top 100 pop-punk songs of all time, and then Alternative Press ranking it at number 50 on their list of the 100 best singles from the 2000s. There was a lot of good songs released in that decade. Without further ado, here is True Believers from the Bouncing Souls. Cool. Get to see him play? Yeah. Brian. Okay, first impression is I love this bass tone. For whatever reason, it really reminds me of like Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses. I mean, that's one of my favorite bass tones ever put to tape. So that's always like my benchmark for those gritty, throaty, but at the same time, warm bass tones that are played with a pick. And he's clearly playing like Fender. I think it's a jazz bass. It sounds more like a jazz bass. I didn't really see the front of it, but I'm sure I will in this video. But this is a perfect time to try to dial that tone in. I mean, the first thing I'm going to do here on my new GK Legacy 800 amp, which I'm happy to be working with these guys again. If you missed it in my last video, they were like my first amp endorsement. We're back working together, and it's just great to have an amp on screen to just actually show you something as I do this. So I'm using the Stingray now, which is sort of in the ballpark of that. I'm going to go back to the beginning and just hear it a bit more, but I love its presence. It is so Duff McKagan to me, especially some of those little fills he's doing. That kind of stuff. Very Appetite for Destruction. That's my reference, and I'm going with it. Yeah, so gritty. Yeah, that's a jazz bass. Urinal shot. Oh, that looks fun. The song feels like just one giant chorus. It's just anthemic right out of the gates. Okay, while I was listening to that, I pulled the mid-range out, pulled some low mids out. I did a contour, which the contour switch just scoops the mids and boosts the bass and treble. But I left some high mid in. That's where you're getting that kind of throaty sound, and I'll try to dial the treble into taste. I kicked on the amp's overdrive, but I used very little of it, just a little bit of sizzle. So now we kind of have this. Still a lot of treble. I'm going to turn the presence off, but turn the treble up. Yeah, a little smoother on the top end. So it's kind of in that ballpark now. And what I notice he's doing as far as the actual bass parts is hitting the root note, kind of landing on a note like F per se. And it's like he's letting the F ring out, but grabbing that fifth to thicken it up. So, and I heard it on the D. So I think there's a theme of just sort of dividing each root note into half notes per se. First one is the root note, second note is the fifth, but it's blended in with that bottom root note. So there's some bass power chord happening and a lot of just nice movement. It's really just going between three chords, F, C, G. I heard the D in there, D minor, but it sounded like it was actually an inversion of something else. So I'm going to go back just a bit, not as far as last time. We got a short song here and listen to the more of the parts. I think I got the tone somewhat in the ballpark. Might bump the bass a little bit. True believers. Right there. You hear that? Those little nuances he's doing really pop with that tone. Love the tone. And this is very much like a play out of the Pennywise playbook, if I'm hearing that vocal melody. Again, it has that reverbed out, like 30 people singing kind of effect, which when I hear punk rock songs with that effect in it, it just gets my blood flowing. I mean, there's just something so lively about it. You don't hear that in a lot of other areas of rock and metal. I mean, great vocalists, sure, but this inclusive type of vocal production, it's just very inviting. Like, you have to sing it along. I mean, how many songs have I reviewed where I'm like, I bet this slaps live? Well, this chorus sounds like it slaps live. It sounds like it is live. What I was saying with the melody out of Pennywise's playbook is that it's going... Okay, that's the melody, right? But it's the chords under it that are different intervals each time. So it starts off on the 1, and then it becomes the 3rd, and then it becomes the 5th. So you have this sort of... So I love that. It's just really catchy writing. That tone's right in the sternum. I mean, this is up there with like the way Little Joe's tone on Lagwagon's Hang kind of hit me at first. And I'm eventually going to hear that full album. It just was not voted in on Patreon. Not Hang. That was the album. The song was Obsolete Absolute. Tongue twister, I got it right. That's a tough song title to say. Okay, now I can hear the bass tone completely naked. And I think the only thing I'm lacking is just the jazz bass mojo, which the pickups are voiced differently. It's single coils. I've got a big Music Man pickup here, but I could probably pull out a few more mids. I don't know. Maybe play with this a tad more. Let's see what we're doing here. Maybe a little more drive, a little more edge. I can maybe pull out some mid-range actually on the bass itself. I always use the onboard EQ as like my very last EQ change if everything else just isn't quite getting it there. It's like the last 10%. I seldom use that because it can be really harsh or really effective in the wrong ways if, you know, depending on the headroom of your preamp. But yeah, pulling the mids out on the bass itself. Maybe some treble too. Nice. Okay, that's about as close as I'm going to get to the jazz bass. All right.
Well, you can fight or you can run. I don't know, rock till the war is won. Play it safe and don't make a sound. But not us, we won't back.
Yeah, there's that 5th thing right there. Very Duff McKagan and just the lyrical nature of the lines. Has a lot to do with the tone, but one thing I'm going to say too is I find it interesting that verse 2 was where they chose the dynamics, because usually this format, the song would kick off, full band, it would go into verse 1 with the bass and vocals only. You typically hear that in songs backwards, so I find it interesting that they did that on verse 2. And this is sort of playing into what I remember about their song Better Days. The songwriting was just a little unpredictable. They sort of looked past those cliche orderings of song phrasings and dynamics. So cool placement for this. Where was I?
It's safe and don't make a sound, but not us, we won't back down. True believer
Now the guitar comes in.
all the way. You and I.
Man, the bass is such a huge part of the sound. The guitar is quieter than it sounded at first. I like the mix.
All the way. You and I.
Those choruses are so big. Yes. God, that is catchy. It's the simplest stuff that always gets me. Catchy little anthem. Just, what can you say? Look, man, songs like that just make your day a few percent points better. Just automatically. It's just catchy. I like a good melody. I always feel the need to call out when a vocal melody becomes different intervals of the chords under it. It's not just following the progression, or it's not just holding one note. Hey, those are good melodies too, but there's a certain balance that you strike when you do it the way they just did it in that song. And then the whole gang vocal production just makes you feel like you're at the show. And I know a few of our Patreon members have talked about seeing this band as we speak, this week, next week. So I know this band is still touring. I bet this song is probably in their encore if it's one of the most popular. The Bouncing Souls. I've liked everything I've heard, all 2 songs, but just like many bands here on the channel, the exploration is slow and steady. It reminds me of the way we used to listen to music. You didn't have an entire band's discography at your disposal all at once. You might have heard a few songs on the radio over a 2-year span. So I think my favorite part about doing this channel lately is kind of tapping into how I listened to music growing up, before all the streaming and on demand. Anyway, not to get on a tangent there, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. This will be stuck in my head. It's something about those simple 2 or 3 note melodies. Thank you guys over on Patreon for requesting this one and voting it in. And if you'd like to participate in that, and it's also the best way to support the channel, come find us, patreon.com/LoneUniversity. We do full albums over there. The same spiel I do in every video. Bass lessons, music theory lessons. Just come find me over there. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video, you're subscribed to the channel. I love you all. We'll see you in the next one.